Peace. So, going to talk about polygamy briefly, and the context of polygamy and why it's looked at in the way that it's looked at in such a bad way. You understand? When actually it could be of an asset to us. Um, Now, a lot of times polygamy is looked at in a pretty bad way because brothers have tried to enforce polygamy in ways that are not respectful, that are not divine, and that are not right and exact. You understand? Polygamy is not utilized or designed for a man to become a slave master and have sex slaves. That's not what polygamy is about. You understand? So anytime, sisters, you meet a man and he's talking about polygamy, you got to really kind of check where he coming from. You know what I mean? Because his intention could be a pure intention or it could be a very, very deviant intention. But this is something that needs to be discussed in our community because we have a crisis in our community. We have over 2 million plus brothers locked up in prison, probably more than that, being locked up at 4 times the rate that they were locked up in apartheid South Africa. They were locking up people. We are being locked up 4 times that, max. Here, tremendous way to be locked up. Systematic breakdown of the family structure. You understand? So you have all of these men locked up and you have a few men left in the streets. You have the women turning to each other, so on and so forth. That's another situation. These are the things that happen when you take men away from their communities. You understand? Things begin to reverse and change and switch around and so on and so forth. But the reality is that polygamy in its inception was utilized to save family structures. That's what it was utilized for. If my brother died in war, I took his family in. His wife didn't necessarily become my wife, but she became a part of the family, and all of her skill sets and everything that she had that she was doing with her husband and her family is now brought over into ours, including their children. Everything is brought over here into our family, and now she's using her skills in this family also. We're saving the family. You understand? She's not my sex mate. She's not my wife. You know what I mean? This is family. Now, for those brothers who have more than one wives or attempt to have more than one wives, let me explain something to you why you don't go out and pull her or get a woman and bring her to your woman and say, this is going to be my new mate. It don't work like that. It's supposed to work like the woman is supposed to find the other helpmates. She is supposed to bring them in. She is supposed to sit down with those sisters or sister and talk to her and find out where her mind is and if she can follow instruction and so on and so forth, because the first wife is the first wife. That's how it works. A lot of times brothers bring women in for the purposes of sex because the first wife is getting old or whatever in their mind, whatever they're going through. This is why they do these things. You understand? And this is the wrong context. And because cats are Muslims and they live Islam, they will abuse this reality right here called polygamy. They will abuse it. Because I can have 4 wives, I'll have 4 wives. You must be able to take care of all 4 equally. You can't do one without the other. You have to do everything you do for one. You have to do it for all of them equally. Number one. Number two, if you knew what was best for you, you'd only have one. You understand what I'm saying? So a lot of times this is done out of greed and things of that nature. And the context of polygamy is taken the wrong way. You understand what I'm saying? So polygamy can save families. You know what I mean? It is not to be utilized. It's not a sex thing. That's the wrong intention of what polygamy is about. Too much television, man, will have a man thinking he's a pimp. And polygamy is that methodology. You understand? But that's not what polygamy is about. Polygamy is the exact opposite of what that brother is trying to lay down with those 4 or 5 women in his home. You understand? Which is pimping. That's not what it is. Polygamy is utilized to develop and build a familial community, an economic base, a social, financial, spiritual base. You know what I'm saying? That's what polygamy is all about. It is not necessarily, again, it's not about what's between your loins, man. That's not what it is. It's not about the abuse of women. You know what I'm saying? That's not what it is. That's not what polygamy is all about. But again, polygamy can help our community when we utilize it properly and we utilize it in its own context. A lot of sisters would be like, brother, I'm not feeling that video because I ain't sharing nothing. But guess what? You might be sharing. Regardless, you might not know it, but you're probably sharing your man anyway. You know what I'm saying? And vice versa. He might be sharing you with somebody else too. So the reality is we need to be honest with each other when it comes down to these relationships. And when brothers is talking polygamy, make sure they talking polygamy in the right way, based on principles, based on divine principles is how polygamy is supposed to work. It is not supposed to be a lowly, fleshly, carnal reality. That's not what polygamy is, man. So so on that note, you know what I mean? When we discuss polygamy, let's discuss it from a healthy perspective. Let's discuss it from a perspective that is solution based and not problem based or centered around sexual desires and greeds and all that type of stuff. You know what I mean? There's no slavery anymore. And remember, a woman has just as many rights as you. You understand what I'm saying? She's better than you. You know what I mean? So, you can't run that game. You understand? On that note, a little bit about polygamy, my breakdown on it, how I see it. And, that's just how I see it. Peace.